The contents of this show are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Any information on the show does not create a client-therapist relationship and should not be taken as professional advice. Before making any decisions regarding your healthcare, ask your personal physician or mental health care professional, or call 911 for any emergencies.
We are three friends exploring connection, from the coffee shop to the podcast studio. I'm Amy.
I'm Anna.
I'm Erin.
Hey, we wanted to give you a quick heads up that this episode was recorded before any stay-at-home orders were in place and before we had any idea what the coronavirus would be doing to our lives today. Just something to keep in mind while listening. Also, we have a super cool new way to support the show. For as little as $3 a month, you can become a patron and help us keep doing what we're doing. Patreon.com/LessAlonePodcast. And there's a link on our website right at the top, lessalonepodcast.com.
All right, everybody. It is so great to be back in studio.
Hey.
And I have to say, I've got a nasty cold going on. So if anybody, if I sneeze or cough or...
I really hope I don't catch it.
I know, I'm gonna really keep my distance. Thankfully, you are across the table.
Through like 3 microphones.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm really hoping I don't catch it. Just got over a 2-week cold.
Maybe I caught it from you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Anyway.
All right.
Sorry if you did. So, Ben Higgins.
Oh,
My
my
word.
goodness.
Okay, so Erin, you came into the episode a little skeptical.
Wait, though, before we get into it, can
okay.
we read this really great
Oh,
review?
yeah.
Okay, so
call.
thank you. We got a really nice review from Kay Corvos. Man, thank you, Kay Corvos. It's called Fun Plus Serious Equals Seriously Fun Podcast. Brilliant title. Clever. And it says, loved adding the Less Alone to my podcast rotation this year. The 3 hosts have an awesome rapport. I love how the conversation topics go from fun and silly to real and deep. The hosts acknowledge they are not experts in connection, but are using this format to, quote, explore connection, which is something that is relevant to literally everyone. Loved Season 1 and enjoying the guest interviews in Season 2. Thanks for putting this out and into the digital airwaves, ladies. So fun, engaging, and lots of good food for thought.
High fives.
High fives. Thank you. Yeah, so during that Ben Higgins interview, we closed with asking about the human body 2.0.
You're really
job.
keeping us on track.
You
I'm
are.
all like...
I know.
Jumping around.
Yeah.
And Amy's got it
Amy's got it.
dialed in.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So
human
the
body
question-
2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his answer, I was like, oh, man.
So good.
So, gosh, that's so thoughtful. Here,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking my answer would be, I'd add,
Well, what is your answer?
okay, well, since you asked,
Yep.
I would add, I was thinking, I would add, the ability to be able to sleep anywhere
Yep.
or, a internal coffee maker. I don't know why I would need that, but just thinking, brainstorming here, or a diagnostic printout of okay, beep boop, what's wrong?
Super robotic.
Can you do that noise again?
Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, 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 boop.
And Anna's turning into a robot.
All things that are all for me, right?
all for you.
But his answer was so for someone else to basically not feel pain.
Yeah.
His grandfather,
Yep.
oh man, yeah,
Super sweet.
super sweet.
Yep.
Wait, didn't he also say something about knees?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said he has terrible knees, so
Yeah.
if you can figure out the knee issue, that'd be
The
great.
knee
He had two.
That's what I
answers.
remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, he is super thoughtful for sure.
Yeah, I was like, man,
I know.
so nice.
What do you got, Amy?
Yeah, what do you got?
So I feel like we had a question like this a while ago.
Did we?
I think
Some-
when
something.
Tiffany Jenkins was on, it was something like that. If you would add a feature or something.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But that's okay. No.
fine.
It's because
fine.
I think this is different. But I have to say, Since that question was asked, and Anna, you answered something about not having or not needing to sleep.
Oh,
like
okay.
you wished that was something that the human body. I've been obsessed with your answer.
Really?
Yep, I've even talked to my kids quite a bit about it. And and
This is the first I'm hearing about this.
I know, but I get the opportunity to tell you because I thought that answer was so awesome, and I kept
Tell me
thinking,
more.
I know.
She's been gunning for it. No sleep here.
I have, and I've been thinking like
you could get so
gosh,
much done, right?
Anna's so right. Yeah. And so
Just
I
keep
gotta
telling
say,
me that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anna's so right.
Yeah.
I love
I'm gonna send you text messages saying, Anna, you're so right.
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay.
I gotta say,
I'm like beaming.
yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta say
beaming.
that's what I would go for. Is this
No sleep?
human body 2.0? If I could have a switch where it'd be like, okay, I don't have to sleep. And I can just work. And I mean, sometimes I really do enjoy sleeping and I enjoy dreaming. And I think there's beneficial, things to knowing what I dreamt. But for the most part, if I could be like, nope, I'm going into no need to sleep mode, that's what I would do.
Wow.
Okay.
Love it.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron?
I would 2.0 version of the human body, that there would be a way that we could use the entire capacity of the brain.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So, can you imagine?
Whoa.
Hey.
That's really something there, Aaron.
Yes.
Wow. We got some good answers here.
I know.
I'm really impressed with you guys.
It's good.
You know who I was impressed with was Ben Higgins.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, that I think I told him a little bit that I was very, very skeptical and eye-rolly. I didn't say that to him.
Yeah, and Anna, you started talking about this because
Yeah. So, like, what we didn't say
Before the episode, I was like that.
before
Let me
the
clarify.
episode, I was like, me and Amy are super fans
Obsessed.
of Bachelor Nation.
Love it.
Hashtag Bachelor Nation.
When we decided this, or he decided to come on the podcast, and then these fools were so excited, and I was like,
We're like, Ben Higgins, the most beloved Bachelor of all time. And Erin, even right now, she's shaking her head, rolling her eyes.
kind of how I feel about those high fives.
We all have our things. We all have our things.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. But I was so pumped that we were getting Ben, that Ben was agreed to come on the
my
the
gosh.
podcast.
And then he was so thoughtful and kind. And
So what did you think he was going to be like?
I had no idea. I think.
Okay,
I
what
think
did you
I
think?
used to watch a Bachelor a long time ago, and then I just could not handle the drama of it. That's why I stopped watching it.
like,
And
what
so-
what about the drama of The Bachelor?
It's just too much.
There's drama?
There's just too much going on, and then like
What is it? The most dramatic season of all?
every episode.
Every
or
time.
every season.
I can't. And so
Is it just too stressful? You said.
I get like so into it,
Yeah.
and then I can't handle because I
But
Does
that's
your
the
does
fun
your
part
like
to me.
therapy brain go to like you've got serious issues?
well, I just can't
Yeah.
too far down the rabbit hole. Of
Yeah.
therapist. Yeah.
So did you think he was gonna be like?
A douche.
Wait,
I thought he
Anna,
was
what do
gonna
you
be-
love about The Bachelor?
Okay, so I hate the first episode of every single season, the like intro
Why don't you
thing.
skip it?
I guess I could.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the one that I see
know.
Amy's like, well, you can't really. and that's the
kinda
thing.
weird.
It's like
Right.
Oh, you can't really.
you can't
It's
really.
true.
It's like the laying the foundation episode.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah.
And the like
initial-
casting, the cast, like the personas are identified.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really lays the groundwork. So
Yeah.
but that's my least favorite of the entire season.
Yeah.
I really like the like fantasy of it.
Yes.
And like just like, oh, this is like the ideal love situation, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's totally fantasy, whatever. But and even my mom, she's like, that's so not real life. And I was like, that's exactly right. It's
Yeah.
not. That is the
Yeah.
point. Like I'm like, it's just so stupid. Like nobody's freaking going on freaking helicopter airplane rides.
They
like
do really do cool stuff.
they do.
They do amazing stuff. I think it's like I love, and I am a real sucker for like all that cheesy stuff. Like the worst rated rom-coms, sign me up. I love watching that
Do you
stuff.
have one?
The worst rated ones?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you're
I
like,
mean,
this is ridiculous.
Well, my go-to movie is Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, really?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't
It's
think I
so
have either.
good. But I mean, some people hate it. I don't care.
Right.
But that's my thing. Like, and Bachelor, I mean, I was pregnant with my first kiddo when I started watching The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I've only missed one season since. And just got to say, like, you can't take that stuff seriously.
Yeah, you just can't read
But
into it too much.
No, but it's so good. If you're a sucker for love. But
Yeah, if you're a sucker for love. If you're not, Aaron, maybe you wouldn't like it.
Oh, my goodness.
Someone doesn't like love, not pointing any fingers. Do you want to know what I watch when I want, like, total stupid guilty pleasure?
just like numb the brain.
Yeah, Adam Sandler movies. Hands down. I'm like, let's just
Happy
watch some
Gilmore.
stupid
That's
ass shit.
interesting.
Or Wayans Brothers.
I would much rather watch Dumb and Dumber.
Oh.
I don't know, Adam Sandler, sometimes he does those voices
Yeah.
that I'm like, that just hurts my ears. Yeah.
I think he's so funny.
It's just like a stupid, like,
I can't
no
even get the
thinking.
words right and start singing it just because. Poke on the buttons.
Yeah.
Like, no,
I know you would.
no thinking involved here.
No. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's good because it's like there's the Bachelor comes off as, I mean, to so many people, it's like just fun, just fun viewing, whatever. But I was really struck by how Ben Higgins was really a legit, like, deep thinker, or you know, like he has a lot to say.
Yeah.
And a solid human being.
Yeah.
'Cause I
He's a
thought-
good person.
Yeah, I thought that this is totally my stereotype and whatever, but I was like, this guy's gonna be such a douche. That's what I was thinking. And he was the most and I was like, he was like the most thoughtful, kind dude.
And we're like, see, told you,
I
Aaron.
know, totally. And it's like, but I
He's
was like,
wonderful.
Really, I felt like real open-hearted after the interview, and I'm like, he's a lovely human being. And
He's
I'm like,
just such a
wow,
good guy.
Okay. Well, now I know. Then stereotypes are
Jeez,
not always
stop being
accurate.
such a jerk, Aaron.
I know, so not thoughtful.
So you're gonna watch The Bachelor now?
No.
You know what's even better than The Bachelor? Like Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, it's so funny.
Because it's like all the juicy bits.
I know.
It gets scandalous
I
way
know.
quicker.
This is why I didn't want to have The Bachelor on, because when we get caught talking about The Bachelor, we're 20
No,
minutes.
we're gonna go deep
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
I'm sure of
Yeah.
it. But I mean,
I'm
come
sure
on.
of it.
I'm sure of it.
But yeah, Bachelor in Paradise, it's like
I'm hoping.
let's get all the like juicy bits. Like let's get the drama. It just like starts fast. It's like they just stir that
You're
shit
getting
up.
excited over
I
there.
love. I like, and they don't do that first night. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
rose or whatever.
Right, let's
thing.
weed through 25 contestants.
Yeah, it's like-
yeah. Yeah.
And there's always someone with a chicken or some weird animal the first
Oh,
night.
totally. Yeah.
Aaron's
For
like,
real.
what?
Right.
It's true. There's always some odd
know.
odd one.
You know what I think is funny? One time, so my sister knows that I'm super into it, and then there was like a few seasons ago where she was like, "I can't do it anymore. I'm done." And I was like, "What? Fine." But I feel like there are those people that it's like, no, just cannot. Kind of like you, Aaron. Just can't
I can't.
go there.
Nope.
Can't do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. Game of Thrones is more your thing, isn't
Ah,
it?
yeah!
So what do you like about Game of Thrones?
I love that time
This
period.
is now a TV
Okay.
podcast.
I know, right?
I love that time period. One, I
Okay.
can watch all Castle medieval movies.
Would you do you wish you lived then?
No, women treated terribly.
Oh, the
God.
conditions?
What, you like the
no.
outfits? You're just like
No,
the fashion?
I just like the
Aaron
time
loves
period.
some fashions.
Oh god. Moving on. And the character development in Game of Thrones, they go very deep with how each character is, and I like that a lot. And
Is Jason Momoa in that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's so fine.
He's a
He is
good-looking man.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Oh my gosh. Amy, you don't know who this guy is? Are you kidding me?
Nope.
I-
Gotta say, not my strength.
He's
Names.
he's literally the
Fiona's
hottest.
getting on her
He's
phone right
literally
now.
the hottest human in the entire world.
That's what,
This is like totally.
Do you agree, Aaron? Is he the hottest
I don't
human
know
in the
about
world?
hot, but he's a good-looking man.
He's the hottest human in the entire world,
says Anna.
says Anna.
Okay, so
Okay, so
she's getting out this picture of Jason Momoa, and then we're gonna move on to some questions.
so hot, right?
Yeah.
hot, right?
Yeah. It's not a good picture of Amanda.
I know.
We got some insight into Anna's world just now.
Werewolfy in that. Well done.
Well, speaking of, I also like
Oh boy.
Joe Manganiello
we're done.
in True Blood.
Yeah, I'm not quite familiar with that
Well, let
name
me-
either, but I do like that show,
This
True
is an
Blood.
audio podcast.
Well, people know who Jason Momoa and Joe Manganiello is.
Well, they can't see you looking it up on
Well,
your
they
phone to show
know.
Amy pictures. Right?
This is true.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you can invite them on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get them as guests on the podcast.
Yes. And I saw a picture.
You're the most beloved person on Game of Thrones.
You're the hottest one ever. You're the hottest human in the entire world. Can you come on our
So
podcast?
can you come, please? Yeah.
Yeah.
In studio would be
Amy.
best.
Here we go, Amy. This is Jason Momoa in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hello.
So- Right here, right?
Yep. Okay.
All right.
So,
So
Moving on.
TV personalities are one thing when they're on the show, and then you talk to them live for the podcast, and man, we just see a whole different side.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that just goes to like the editing and,
Yeah.
you know, like the producers and the production team, they have their own agenda of like building these stories around these
Right.
different quote unquote characters. Like,
Yep.
they're not like, their goal isn't to be like, I'm going to prove what a wonderful person this is. Obviously, everyone who goes on TV hopes that that is how they'll be edited. But like, I mean, Amy, you even talked about how you were like, I can't believe, you know, when Ben
There was
Higgins,
always a villain.
yeah.
There's always a villain.
Who's ready for some intriguing flavors of tea? I am, and I hope you are too. So check out techotea.us. That's tekotea.us. And I will tell you, there are wild picked Icelandic herbs blended with delicious green and black teas. So check it out, techotea.us.
You want to get out of debt? I can help you get out of debt so fast. So get yourself hooked up with the debt-free roadmap, and it will walk you through all the steps. I want to help you get to where you want to be. Debtfreeroadmap.com.
Clean what you can. You'll find products and services that will help you, 1, identify your top 5 values, 2, give you direction in life, and 3, clean, keep things tidy and purified, namely air and water. So check it out, cleanwhatyoucan.com. Hey, Anna.
Yeah?
You know Erin's a pretty badass therapist, right?
I totally know. I just like take notes when she's talking.
Me too. Some of our audience does as well. So did you know that there's also a place that you can get information directly from her?
On her website, right?
Yeah. And didn't you do it?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so there's all these free workshops that they're offering, and at thekaliinstitute.com, you can sign up for those. Kali is how you spell Kali, and then institute, thekaliinstitute.com.
Get it done.
But so let's talk about, though, what did we get out of that? I mean, like, what did we see from Ben Higgins on last episode? I mean, we saw a whole different side, I thought.
Oh, totally.
And so we have some questions here.
Let's kick that off, Aaron.
Let's kick it off.
Boom.
So he talked a lot about when he was he 24 and he was working at this place, and his marketing director said that he was the most boring human ever. Which
Or
was
sad. Or sad.
Sad human
The
ever.
saddest.
Yeah,
Aw.
saddest human ever. And
know,
so
heartbreak.
I'm
That was
curious.
so relatable.
How so?
Well, I mean, I just remember when I worked in an office, and it was just like, just
Soul crushing.
Yeah.
yes, that.
So
Hashtag crushed soul. It's just like, you know what? I'm working here. I'm wearing my Gap clothes, and I'm going home. And I made my lunch, and here we go back. Here we go again.
And I think for Ben, it really sounded like he had uprooted himself from home and familiarity,
Yeah.
brought himself to this new place, got a new job. He was in a new state. He was away from Indiana, which is really had so much of his identity.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And as an only child and being super close to his parents.
Yeah.
Totally
so
different
times
life.
in your life that you've shaken his life up a bit, but ultimately ended up being the best thing for you.
Good focus, Aaron.
Yep. Yep. Reining you in.
So, Aaron, has that happened to you before? Have you ever shaken life up a bit?
I think, yes. So I talked about this in a previous season, but I was 23, and I decided I need to. I talked about this when we talked about the religion stuff, but and I was a Vincentian volunteer in Liverpool in England, and I lived there for the year. And
Wait, a what volunteer?
Vincentian volunteer.
Vincentian?
Yeah,
What's
so it's
that
like
mean?
the Vincentian order. This is when we used to go to church, but
Catholic?
Catholic, yep. And so
It sounds very Catholic. to
yeah.
me.
So Saint Vincent.
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
it's
sure.
The order
Okay.
of nuns that ran the program, and they actually have one in Denver too, which my sister did.
St. Vincent's de Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of, yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that was I'd never been to. I lived in Pennsylvania, but I had never been to New York City before. I had to get my visa to go to London, and then I landed in London, and I got off the plane, and this is like before phones, really. So I'm in
Cell phones.
Yeah, cell phones. Before
Not
this is
not like before Alexander
Right.
Graham Bell.
No.
It's a really long time ago.
Oh, I am gonna be 40 though, so
You're like really old.
you're older than me.
I know.
So I got off the plane, and then they gave a sheet of directions about how to get to this place. And so then,
MapQuest.
no,
printed out.
no map. Yeah, no, not even Just
Before MapQuest.
Before MapQuest, and so they
Oh.
just had directions, and like you need to take this bus line, you need to take this tube thing, and I had like all my luggage, and I had no idea where I was going, and it was this
Wow.
most like terrifying and profound sense of freedom I've ever had in my life, because I'm like, oh, I have to figure it out, and then like people in big cities aren't necessarily wanting to help you or super friendly, and so people were like, oh, why do you have all that stuff, like whatever, and then I ended up finding my way, and then I get to the door and I knock on, it's like this huge convent, and I like knock on the door, and
I'm here to join.
yeah.
And so, I'm your newest nun.
So Sister Pauline answers the door, who was the coordinator of the whole program, and she was like, if you think of like the most stereotypical nun that could come from England ever, it was this woman. She was very, very kind and loving, but very like stoic and standoffish, and I hugged that woman so big when I came in, and she was like,
Girl, high five.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you. So I finally got there, and I remember that I had all my stuff, and I had to switch to a tube, and so I don't know if you've ever been to England, and they always say, mind the gap, mind the gap, mind the gap. And I didn't mind the gap, and I had a bag on my front and a bag on my back, and I literally did not mind the gap. And I tripped over the thing and fell straight forward and did like a dive onto my luggage, and I couldn't get up because I had so much stuff on me. No one helped me, and people just like looked. And I'm like, because that sure would have been a video if people had cameras on their phones then. So I guess that's it for me. That shook my life up and gave me a different trajectory of things, really.
Like what? So where were you headed, and then where were you headed?
I just didn't. It just gave me more perspective of. It was right around when I think we had just all the Iraq stuff was happening, because it was right after
The Iraq War?
yes, right after 9/11 happened, and so it was very, very interesting to see.
Wait, not the Iraq War then.
Well, then 2002 or 2001, 2002.
Oh, 2001
2002? But I went 2003, so all that stuff was
Oh,
all the Gulf
got it,
stuff
got
was
it, got it.
was building steam, and so it was really interesting. I remember coming home one night on a bus, and this guy heard my voice, and he just laid into me about the United States and all, and I was just like, so I had never been in that position before, which was really, really good for me to just feel and experience, but it was like a very new, and to hear, like, to listen to the BBC and what they had to say about what was going on and different opinions, and like that were very different, because I grew up in a bubble pretty much in my town in Pennsylvania, and so it was really good for me to get my eyes wide open. Yeah, so and
Travel. It's
yeah,
such
travel
Oh my
is
gosh.
so
It's
good.
so good.
Yeah. And then we had one volunteer that was from Indonesia, and she kind of had a meltdown at the beginning of. I don't know if I told this story before, but she kind of had a meltdown at the beginning of the program, and she went to Sister Pauline, and she was like, "I cannot do this." And Sister Pauline was like, "Why can't you do this?" She's like, "These people are not poor, because Indonesia, there's a lot of like very impoverished people." And she's like, "These people are not poor." And she was like, "People are spiritually poor here, and this is like what you're doing." And it changed her entire frame of mind. But that has always stuck with me, because I was like, oh, like people have a lot of stuff, relatively a lot of stuff, but in terms of like what's happening inside of them is a different thing. So. There was just a lot of different nuggets to see. And I joined, one more thing, is I joined this walking club. What did they call it? And it was me and
Silver
everybody.
Sneakers?
Something like that. Silver Sneakers. But they would go to all these areas where, Rambling Club, that's what they go to all these areas, and they were all over 55, and so I hung out with all these 55-year-olds in the city of Liverpool.
Totally Silver
So
Sneakers.
we go on,
Totally.
But it was £9, and they got you on a chartered bus, and then they take you and they guide you through a trip, and then you'd like stop at a pub and eat lunch, and then you'd get back on the bus and they take you, and so it was
For
just
£9.
Yeah, it was amazing, but it was super. It was a great experience because I saw some really cool stuff. So
Did you make some connections with some of those folks you rambled with?
I did not, but I learned about bogs. I don't know about bogs. They were like, you need to be careful because you can fall in the bog. And
Bogs are amazing.
What is a
But
bog?
I don't know what it's.
Oh, no,
but you fall in.
So a bog is like
Like a swamp?
kind of a swamp, but bogs have peat moss.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
peat moss is a really dense plant that's been decomposed, and it's been so submerged in water that it just is like layer upon layer of plant
And it looks
mass.
like the
The
ground.
ground.
Yeah,
and
you
then people
can't-
step, and then you
Yeah.
like fall in.
Oh,
and then,
shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, because there's a significant amount of water with the
Yeah.
with the.
But then
Surprise!
But that's where
I'm a
like,
bug.
Yeah.
but peat moss, like a lot of people use that for gardening,
Right.
and so, but bogs are really important to
Yes.
the ecology.
Yes, good. It's right there.
Wow.
But
Information knowledge corner.
good. But we got to like walk around like where the Bronte sisters lived, and like it was like really like super cool. It was just there was lots of interesting experiences.
I have to tell you a story about the tube.
Okay.
Okay, so last fall, my mom's lifelong dream has been to see the Eiffel Tower, and I'm like, we gotta get your ass to freaking Paris, Mom. I didn't say it that way.
Your mom would have loved it if you did.
Loved it.
But that was essentially it. I'm paraphrasing. So I ended up convincing my parents to go to Paris with us, and we're all on the tube in Paris, and we needed to get out at the certain stop, and none of us speak French. I don't know if I told you guys that, but we don't. And we're at the back of the train, and we're like, oh shit, we got to get out. But it was packed, and the door didn't open automatically.
Excuse me.
And my mom, she goes, English. And we just started what? She's our interpreter. It was so funny. Maybe you had to be there. But
I'm pretty sure.
But then these French people they just said push. Basically push through.
Oh.
Anyway, it was hilarious, and I continually give my mom shit about it because she was just like, English. It was so Midwestern. Anyway, she saw the Eiffel Tower, lifelong dream achieved. That was a super funny tube story.
What's yours?
Oh, my Shaken Life Up thing?
Yep.
Well, I was thinking I have a whole bunch of them. Definitely traveling is right up there with Shaking Life Up. And being on TV, like Ben Higgins. That always shakes my life up. But really, I think probably one of the biggest things that shook my life up is I can't help but think about all the times that I've had in my life where I'm like, oh, I don't want this to happen. And looking back, it's like it ended up being the best thing that ever could have happened to me. When I was in high school, I was at this humongous high school on the East Coast. And my family, right before my junior year, said, oh, yeah, we're going to move to Lincoln, Nebraska. And I was like, where what? Like record scratch, where? You know, I'm like, hell no. Anyway, I go from being like super quiet, shy kid, you know, eating lunch in the bathroom like I've talked about, to being like the big fish in the small sea in Nebraska. It was so great. And it's
Homecoming queen.
Hey, what's up? But like it ended up being the best thing ever. But at the time I was like, this is not good. This is horrible. What the hell are we doing? Like, I remember we drove into Lincoln, Nebraska, and I was crying my eyes out. Like, what the hell is this place?
Yeah.
Like, well, no. And it ended up being so great. So, and then, like, another instance where I didn't get what I wanted, thank God, is, like, marrying my old boyfriend of 6.5 years. I really wanted to marry him. And I'm like, thank God that did not happen. No offense. If you're listening, you know who you are. But like, you know, it's just the times where I didn't get what I think I wanted at the time. Yeah. Those are the things that really shake my life up. And I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't get what I wanted. Right. So.
Yeah. Garth Brooks got a song about that.
Oh, really?
Unanswered prayers.
Oh, yeah, definitely hashtag unanswered prayers.
Yep.
That's so.
I wish I knew the words because I bust out.
That's all you got?
I
was waiting for it.
I know. We got a little snippet, though.
Yeah, what about you, Amy?
Well, I got to say, the thing I am the most struck by about this conversation is that.
How amazing it is.
Totally. No, more that it's like. There are things, like for Ben Higgins, it was his boss or his marketing person that kind of pushed him into it.
Coworker, yeah.
And then, you know, Anna, like things, like some I don't know if it's like an external person or an external or something causes something for life to get shaken up. You know, it's like, it's interesting for me to look at. So there have been a bunch of times in my life where life has been really kind of turned upside down, I guess. And I think definitely there's travel in there. You know, I graduated high school from high school in Minnesota, and then I started college in Oregon, and that was a big shakeup for me, but that was like totally intentional, and I drove the boat on that. And, you know, while I was at that school, I had traveled overseas to China, and that was back in 1997. And yeah, so that was a while ago. And China was very different than what it is today back then. And that was a big shakeup because I had never been so much the minority it was just so different. And that was really good. That was a big shakeup for me. I grew a lot from that and had, you know, new appreciation for a whole bunch of different things from that. And then, you know, there's just been a lot. So then my next biggest shakeup was definitely when my serious boyfriend at the time was in that really bad ski accident and nearly died a number of times. And, you know, just there was so much there that was totally out of my control, but my life, it was just completely unexpected and really tragic. But, and also like what came from that, I could have never, you know, expected. But in the end, you know, I didn't end up getting married to him like had been planned. And, you know, it just took my life. I ended up moving from Connecticut back to Minnesota. And, you know, I thought I was going to go into nursing after that accident.
I don't know that I had heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had applied to some nursing schools and but then ended up like going into education, which I had originally thought. So anyway, there was just like so many things. And then, you know, most recently going through a divorce where again, you know, I think had it been up to me, I would have tried to work at that relationship until I died, you know, but thankfully that wasn't, you know, the same perspective that my then husband had. And so the divorce process was initiated. And I'm super grateful that it was, because my life has gone in a completely different direction, and one that just feels so much better internally for me. We've talked a lot about this values thing, and just the difference of values and principles that I find important versus what he finds important. So different. It's been such a huge opportunity to reconnect with myself and reconnect with what I see as my truth, and to push me. It has totally pushed me outside my comfort zone, but really has just pushed me right towards myself and my spirituality, and pushed me in ways that, it was I didn't want, but now I'm like, thank God.
So this moving into the next question here. Segue. So how have you built relationships with yourself? Because Ben talked about that.
Yeah.
And he talked about creating an honest narrative, which was often different than the story that he was telling himself.
So I would have to say a couple things. Like that really stood out to me when Ben was talking about that. Like, what is the story that you tell yourself?
Isn't it crazy when you figure out what that story is, and you've been telling the story, and then you're like, I can't believe I've been. I think that's I think that's when I was talking about England. I was like, oh, this is the story that we're told growing up, and then you go somewhere else, and that's why travel is so amazing, because it's like, other people are not happy about this, or other people have a very different perspective, and that's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a couple thoughts. I read this book. It's called Unfuck Your Brain by Faith G. Harper. And that book was all about it is, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. But she talked a lot about how everybody walks around in this world with their own perspective on life. And that is yours to have. Other people are going to have a completely different perspective. And so in terms of my divorce, for example, or any relationship ending for that matter, it's I'm going to have my perspective, and that other person is going to have theirs. And it's fine. That, Godspeed, whatever. I have my story, and they have theirs. And I think that it's interesting. Is it really about being honest, or is it really about taking this different perspective from, you probably know about this, but there's something about the victim something or other. It's there's an opposite of victimizing.
The triad?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the opposite of victiming, that if you're
martyr and perpetrator, it's a trial that
maybe, but it but there's a reflective. So the opposite of victimizing is challenging. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Keep going.
So if you're kind of in an unhealthy place, you're victimizing. You're being a victim. If you are healthy, you see that really you're not necessarily a victim, but you're challenging the situation, or you're a challenger rather than a victim. Anyway,
doing great.
The whole thing not the whole thing, what the hell? But I think for me, it's
scratch that.
Yeah, scratch that. So the honest narrative for me really has come with.
You sound sick.
I know, don't I? I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one on the recording.
Okay.
Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yes. So, honest narrative. I do think that I can tell myself a bunch of different stories, and I have to be able to sit with myself to feel how those stories resonate. And then I can either, feel like a victim, or I can feel like a challenger. And let me tell you, those two feel very different. And so,
what do they feel like in your body?
There is something that comes when I tell my story to myself where I am more of a victim. I get real small. And then I get real just sad, and my body feels powerless and yucky, but But a challenger, I can sit up straight, and it's like, okay, like, yep, I am challenging. Yep, this situation or, whatever. And it just feels more, I don't know, like I can do it. Feels stronger. So anyway, but I do have to say, so there is also another reference is Super Soul Conversations with Oprah. She talked.
I love them.
Oh my gosh,
much.
I know. And the one that was recorded on December 17th, 2019 is with Oprah and Joel Osteen. And the title of it is I Am. Life is how you see it. And they talk about these I am statements.
I listened to that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I love it. And I think it totally ties into
My
like
friend Amber. You're hearing this. She's the one that sent it to me. So she's going to appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. But I think it totally ties into this honest narrative. It's like, yes, there are stories. Yes, there are perspectives, and they're all different. And like, ultimately, I'm going to have whatever perspective I have. But where do I have control in that perspective? And for me, I think a lot of it has to do with these I am statements.
Right.
And it's like, once I get quiet and I meditate or I journal or I talk to close friends or whatever that is, I can then know, I can listen to who I am, what values I have, what principles I have. And then
It's like
I think
a recentering.
it is. Yeah. Recentering, which then I can focus on what kind of I am statement I have, which then I think translates into my narrative.
Yeah. Great.
That's what I got.
I like it.
What do you think?
Well,
Therapist.
when you were talking about whether the internal process of feeling smaller, being able to sit up straight, I was thinking about a lot of times when I'm stuck in my own perspective that is kind of, I don't want to say delusional, but is like off in some way. I'll get in this battle where I'm like fighting myself. And so it's this like, feels like this internal battle of like all this chaos happening. And then all of a sudden some sort of like piece of truth comes from something I read or someone I'm talking to, or if I'm in therapy or something, and it like drops in, and while it might not be the thing that I want to hear, it's like the truth. It feels way better because then you know what to do with it, and then you can move forward. But the part I get caught, the biggest thing is that when I can stop that fight against myself, has been one of the things for me, and I think. In terms of retelling my narrative. And I think just really working on owning all the parts of ourselves. And so all the parts of myself, I should say. And so I think that is super, super valuable and really, really important, is to own all parts of yourself, because none of the parts of us they're all there for a reason. And none of the parts of ourselves are bad, so to say. Like, they might not serve a purpose, like in my family, right? So like, in my family, I'm the youngest of 5, and so I really enjoy being entertaining or funny or whatever, and playing that role. But for a long time, until I figured that out, like when I was playing that role in my family, it was because something about me was like unresolved, and I was feeling hurt and small internally, and so I'd bring in this like as a defense to like get people to get the attention away from what's actually happening. And when I realized, I'm like, why does it feel so bad to be like, I like to be in my funny self. And why does that feel so bad? And so the reason it felt so bad is because it was covering up this real wounded part. And so I was like, oh, like I just need to acknowledge that. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
I need to acknowledge that, and then I can still play that role as long as it's not covering up something. And so then I can engage in people in a way that feels comfortable. And so I think that's also building a relationship with myself. And then the other things, I think that running has been a huge part of that. Like when I spend hours and hours and hours by myself on the trail. I remember when I first started running, I'd listen to Brene Brown books. And if I was going for like a 4-hour run.
Did you hear her? She has a podcast.
I'm so stoked about that. Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah, she has a podcast in April. Well, when this episode comes out. Yep. And so, yeah, we'll get to that. And so... But
it's already like the top of the charts.
Yeah, I'm sure
of course.
But I'd listen to Brene Brown like I'd listen to her book, which is 4 hours of the book, and I would be destroyed afterwards. I'm like, oh my god, because running takes away all those filters. So running has helped a lot, and how my relationship with running has really been reflective of what's happening internally with me, and that's been good. And then of course I've done a ton of therapy and energy work and all sorts of healing things. And so I think it's just just it's important to, if something, and being tapped into my intuition is super important. And if something feels off, although I may not know what it is, to just kind of be open and curious and give space for the thing to pop up. I had a woman that I used to work with. She was this intuitive lady that I feel like she was tuned directly into whatever is bigger than us. And so I'd always like ask her to direct questions like, tell me this or tell me that. And then, and she'd be like, I can't tell you this because it's on sacred ground. And so it's like this concept of like that something is like brewing internally in you. And so you need to just wait till it like percolates and it's like finds all the things that it needs to like grow, but you can't tap into it before you're ready or before it's like ready to come out. And so you just need to be patient with it while this thing like takes roots and grows. And so I think those are all the things. But
yeah. Gosh, I have a lot of thoughts about this. I have a
I
whole
know.
sheet of notes. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I know.
wow. I mean, so like being the honest narrative and the story, he was telling himself, like, you know, going off of those ideas. Like, I remember, like, I've talked about how I grew up shy and being told I was shy and, oh, you're so quiet. And then, like, realizing as an adult that story that I was told isn't necessarily my truth.
That
and
happens so much with
it
children.
was like
so much.
It was like, wait a minute, I had anxiety.
Yes.
Like, and I was paralyzed by that anxiety. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm shy. Like, I definitely feel introverted, but just owning the truth of my story and realizing that what I had been told my entire life was not actually my reality. I mean, the same thing happened with like my religion, growing up Catholic and being told this is the way things were. And then like coming to a different truth for myself about that situation and realizing that that's not something that I really resonate with on a spiritual level. So just like finding the truth by being okay with finding the truth, I think, in a lot of ways, and saying like,
Till you're ready for it.
you have to be ready for it. And
honest.
Yes.
yeah, so true. And then
Wait, can I just say one other thing about the kid thing?
Yeah.
Kids are who they are told they are.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that is something whenever I hear a parent saying like, oh, so-and-so is naughty, or, oh, they're just so annoying, or, oh, they, you know, whatever it is, like they're, I mean, it's like,
have you heard that
especially
thing?
when you tell them that.
Yeah. Have you
You know?
heard the thing like the parent's voice becomes the kid's internal voice?
Absolutely, it does.
Totally believe
Yeah.
it.
That critical voice that everyone's got in
Totally.
their head came from somewhere.
Yeah. Also thinking
It's not
about
always from parents, but it
Oh,
could, yes,
yeah.
but it could be, yes.
Oh,
keep
okay.
going.
The story, talking about the stories that we tell ourselves, like thinking about this idea that other people's experience of me and the story that they have of me and how they experience me is not necessarily what I would want them to have, or it might be. But they could have a whole story about me and their experience with me that literally is all their own and not based in reality.
Right.
So just thinking about that
Or
whole
not
idea.
based in your reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is like that perspective thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh man, it's like just such a mind F to like
Yes.
realize like,
Yes.
like, oh man, their situation and how they're seeing me isn't my truth, and being like, that's their thing. Okay. And then, when I stopped drinking, like 13 years ago, I remember going to the library and just trying to figure out what I actually liked. 1 second. So it was like this idea of, who am I actually? What do I like? What do I want my life to look like? Let me just explore all these different things. I remember having, books on knitting and freaking every single random thing just to figure out what it is I actually like and try to find myself. So
Is there anything that you discovered that wasn't what you thought it was going to be? Like that you really are a professional knitter?
Oh, no. I realized it just because of my whole go big or go home thing.
Right.
Everybody got scarves that year, and I totally fucked up my fingers.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I just knit. Like, I don't just kind of do things, So it's like I just jacked up my fingers.
That is truth.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to start walking, and I'm like, I'll just do 2 laps around the park. I'm doing freaking 7 miles now. What the hell? I got blisters on the bottom of my feet.
We were at coffee the other morning, and Amy's like, because you were talking, and Anna says, yeah, I did 6 miles. And Amy was like, wait, what? You were doing 2, and now you're doing 6. And it was just like, that's just how I'm wired.
It really is. Yeah. And just coming to terms with, talking about the stories that we tell ourselves, it's just like, wow, this is just how I am. Like, I know
moderation.
Moderation is not my thing.
It's not my thing either.
All.
So then where does it come into play? Like, is that a story that you tell yourself?
It could be.
Or is that
the reality?
Yeah.
I mean, I could fight it. I could say, like, I could fight it and be like, I don't want to be so extreme. Or I could just say, this is how I am. This is how I operate. I love the extreme intensity of things, and that's just what I do. And just go into it saying, like, oh, well, shit, I'm going to have freaking blisters on my feet because I'm not going to just do 2 laps or whatever. I'm going to do 7. I'm going to totally destroy my feet. I'm going to knit all the scarves. So, like, I'm not going to do, like, a 24-hour juice fast. I'm going to do a month, which... Yeah.
That's why you need to start trail running with me. Anna.
Yeah.
You're perfect
Channel
this.
it.
Just saying.
So, yeah, that's, and then that's what I got on that.
And it's like, I didn't sign up for a 5K. I just went straight to the hundo.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about when I was doing CrossFit? And I'm like... Oh, yeah. Like, I was in the training, the, like, preliminary, like, oh, this is how you do CrossFit, here are the terms and all this. And I literally was, like, in my first class, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do the CrossFit games, obviously. like, if I'm doing this, let's do this. Like, we're not just messing around here. We're not, no.
Oh,
so, might as well get ready for the CrossFit games.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I've got one whole class under my belt here. Gosh.
That is hilarious.
So possible suggestions.
Go ahead.
No, go. You go.
Well, I was just going to say, you had brought up, Aaron, before we were talking about this, the importance of silence or stillness.
Yes.
And whether you're walking for 7 miles or running or meditating or journaling or whatever.
Walking for 7 miles.
Yeah.
No one's looking at me.
What do you think the value is?
I think there's a lot of value in it. I think that when we can, and I think that stillness and silence isn't necessarily the lack of noise or the lack of chaos outside. It's like that. That's what I think freedom feels like, is when you can still and silence what's happening internally, because there's usually a lot happening within people. I think that's what real stillness and silence are. And so some people need to go in nature and do that. Some people need to meditate and do that. I was trying to find the quote when I was thinking about this beforehand, but if like you're in the middle of Times Square, right, and you can feel like calm and content, like I think you can also be still in those places. And I think you learn without having silence or stillness. I was listening to this, Cal Newport is the guy who wrote about digital minimalism, and he talked about we never, in the last 7, 8, or 9 years or something, that we don't have to be bored anymore. And so
true.
And that is when, so he defined that as solitude, if there's not opportunities for solitude anymore, is when we're by ourselves and we're not processing anything from the external world and we're just within our own self. So you can be in a coffee shop or whatever, and that we don't have an opportunity to do because we have our phone at hand all the time. Like if we're waiting in line at the grocery store, we can get on our phone or whatever it is. And so I think that's when the time that you process and figure it out, like I think that, because he was saying we're not any busier than we were 10 years ago. We just don't have any solitude happening in our life, so it feels like we are, which I think that didn't really...
Very interesting.
I think that's very, very true for myself, at least. And so I try to put that in intentionally, to just have periods, whether I'm like, sometimes it's when I'm cooking and I just like to cook without anything, or I'll do a 3-hour run with nothing, just to kind of be in my own process. And sometimes it is difficult to be in that space by myself, but I feel so rested and so rejuvenated afterwards. And so I think stillness and solitude and silence have to be a practice of some sort. So that's what I think.
Well, and there's an article here by Mandala No,
That's what the website was.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And I think the article was ways to cultivate stillness. Yeah, so you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, there's just a few. It's by Nicole Cook. Yeah?
Cock.
I think it's Cook, actually.
Cock. K-O-C-H.
She's always
no,
gonna
no,
think
no.
it's cock.
No, I'm serious. I think
Okay,
that's how you
yeah.
say it. I'm not trying to be
Or
dirty.
Coke.
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 Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
K-O-C-H. So there's debate.
Okay,
on it.
you
Nicole,
guys
we
weigh
just
in.
butchered this shit.
Sorry, Nicole.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So she's got seven
Yeah.
tips. This is helpful on how to
Cultivate stillness.
Thank you, Erin. Yes. Number 1, keep it simple. For example, clean your desk and create a minimalist desk so you are less distracted and have more focus on what needs to be completed. Number 2, breathe. Take moments throughout the day to breathe consciously. Number 3, let yourself be. Do not interfere with your experience. Allow yourself to simply be.
Absolutely.
Number 4, work with your inner critic. It is important to learn to work with your inner critic and recognize its messages and effects on your life. Number 5, meditate regularly. A regular meditation practice supports freedom and greater clarity and insight into your own mind and its habitual tendencies. Number 6, neutrality. Learn to witness your experience with openness and without being reactive. Number 7, don't attach to the outcome. The less outcome-focused you are, the easier it is to settle into quieter levels of your own mind. Focus on the present and let go of expectations of how things have to turn out.
Right. It's good.
So good, Nicole.
It's good.
So the last thing we have on the list is Anna asked Ben if he had a motto for life, and he really talked about his faith in that. And so I was curious if we have a motto for life or if we have a word for the year, or some people pick words for the year or phrases for the year. And so where are you all with that?
Yeah, so like I've mentioned this before, but my motto for life is don't take personally. It literally has nothing to do with you.
How did you develop that?
By reading the four agreements.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. I should probably do that. And it's like one of those things that takes practice, just being like, you know what, this literally has nothing to do with me. And I'm really, when I talk to people and they're like telling me this different situations or problems, and I tell them like, yeah, that might not have anything to do with you, or, you know, that's not something to take personally. That's often, I have found, not very well received. So it's like one of those things, like, you know, has come up during this episode quite a bit of like, when you're ready to hear it, you can hear it. But until then, that's not something that people find necessarily productive to hear. They're like,
I gotta go. Yeah.
They're like, Anna, it does though. Right. This is obviously all about me, and it's like, oh no, but you know, they're not ready to hear it. I don't know. Personally, it's just taken me a lot of time to practice it and just be like, yeah, I bet you that has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. What about you?
For me, it's my phrase for the year of 2020 is to be in love with my life.
Oh yeah,
yep.
So good.
And I think it's just then reflecting what I am going to do differently is that each month I'm going to reflect on what happened in the previous month, like that. How am I embodying this? Or what can I do to embody this? And so it's been interesting because really, like, if you have a whole year where you're in love with your life, that's a pretty good year.
Hell
right?
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's amazing.
I don't know. So
imagine if it
goals.
like extends to the decade.
Well, hopefully, right?
This is why we're friends.
This is
no, we're not talking about 1 year. We're talking about the whole decade.
That's right. For the rest of my life, my motto for life will be
the best life ever.
Yeah, I'm in love with my life. Thank you.
Only the happiest, best life ever.
If that was the case,
hell yeah.
And there are people out there
I know
that's truth.
Yeah.
That is their truth.
True.
Yes.
Yeah,
I saw this man
possible.
on the trail, and he was the nicest, most kind man, and he let me pass, and he was like just full of joy, like Dalai Lama full of joy, and I'm like, I just want to stand and talk to you, dude.
Damn, you're a happy mofo.
Yeah, totally. Yes, totally.
That's awesome.
That's what I got. What do you got, Amy?
My word is intuition.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been, at this point, years where I have heard my intuition, but I told it to shut up. And I ignored it, or I tried to acknowledge it and it was kind of squashed or whatever. So it is all about intuition right now for me.
And I think that's how you build relationship with yourself. I think is that you listen to that voice, because then we don't leave ourselves and you trust it. Yeah. That's important.
And I think so I ordered, this workbook and a guidebook on listening to it. So I think the exercises throughout that haven't started yet. But
get there.
Maybe by the time this episode is released, I will have. But I do. I'm looking forward to it, because I think it'll just give me like tangible exercises on how to really hear it. So
Good.
Takes
awesome.
practice.
Yep.
The old practice of remembering.
That's right.
Yep.
I know. Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Do we have a nugget?
Boy, maybe for people just to think about if they have a motto or word.
Yeah. They have a word for the year.
Yeah.
And there's a resource. Her name is Susanna Conway. And I think she's a life coach, and she's based out of, we'll put this in the show notes, but she's based out of London. And so she puts out this book every year that I get so excited in December to fill out. And it's called Unraveling Your Year. So it goes the previous year to the new year. And it's so helpful in terms of just really thinking about tangibly what happened in the last decade too. For the it's good.
That's awesome. I did that every year with my ex, where it was just a journal, but it was like goal writing for every year, and it was so cool to always look back and see what was accomplished.
A lot happens.
Yeah, it really does. Really does. So great exercise.
Totally.
All right. Let's land the plane here.
Land
people.
it. Coming in.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Bye.
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 Thanks for listening. You can find more about this episode and a way to connect to the community at lessalonepodcast.com. And if you like us, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave a review. It helps other people find us and could be just what they need.